Well guys, new comic book day is already here. It's here. So it's time to look at the list, see what's coming out, and tell you what I'm getting. What's up guys, BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Now on this channel, I do comic book unboxings, reviews, haul videos, and really everything in between. So if you're new here and you're interested in that type of content, hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell icon so that you're notified whenever new videos of mine go live. As of this recording, we just recently hit 3,000 subscribers. That's an insane number. Like, I don't know 3,000 people in real life, so dude. Anyway, stay tuned on the channel. We are doing our 3,000 subscriber live celebration, including a few giveaways. That's going down this Thursday. I believe Thursday is the 19th, and that's going down at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So be there. You definitely are going to have to be present to win at least one of the prizes. So take a look at that. I hope to see you there. But anyway, today, I got to tell you about the books that are coming out tomorrow, or today probably by the time you see this. There's a lot of comics. I've been on an ever-present mission to stay under budget. I have a strict budget of $50 a week, and let's see how we achieve that this week. Lots of books I'm excited about. Some I'm not as excited about, and some that are probably going to be on the chopping block. So I like to start with the books that I am most excited for this week. That book is X-Men, The Trial of Magneto, #1. Now, I've been a little iffy on the X-Men lately, and even more so now that Jonathan Hickman just announced he's leaving the X-Men after the Inferno event later this year. And eventually, in January, we're going to basically get another reboot, reset the status quo of the X-Men. I just don't know. I feel like I signed up for something that I'm not getting, and I'll talk more about that in a different video, maybe later today or tomorrow. But for now, The Trial of Magneto just seems like something really exciting. It seems to be a really big event that's going to divide the mutants and really have an effect on the current status quo. And I mean, let's just face it, that cover looks epic. That cover looks epic, and so does the one that I really want to get, which is this Mark Brooks variant with Magneto and the Scarlet Witch. Like, just look at that drapery of her costume. Anyway, Trial of Magneto, #1 is written by Leah Williams and with artwork by Lucas Wernick. It looks pretty exciting. It's got a cover price of $4.99, and I'm getting that Mark Brooks variant. Next up, since we're talking about Marvel Comics, we got to talk about a bunch of books that I'm kind of on the fence about, but take it or leave it, right? Marauders issue 23. Marauders was a book that I loved moving into or leading up to Ten of Swords, and then even after, right? The death of Kitty Pryde, her eventual resurrection, and how she finally made it to Krakoa. The whole thing with her and the White Queen and the Black King, I loved them getting revenge on Sebastian Shaw. I love that storyline. And since then, it's kind of been hit or miss for me. Hopefully issue 23 is a hit. I think I'm like one issue behind as well with this series. I'm just not as enthusiastic about it as I once was. And overall, I kind of feel like the X line lacks direction in many ways. But we'll talk about that when we talk about some other books on this list. Marauders 23 has got a cover price of $3.99. I'm just getting cover A. Next up from Marvel Comics is the Miles Morales Spider-Man Annual #1. Now, honestly, this book is on my pull list automatically because I'm subscribed to Miles Morales. It's a one-off story. Chances are it's going to end up on the chopping block if I need room in the budget, because why read a story that doesn't matter to what I'm currently reading, right? But I love Salad and Ahmed. I've loved the Miles Morales storylines or book so far. I only jumped in at the Clone Saga. So if it's a lighter week, if I'm able to make room in the budget elsewhere, maybe it's safe, maybe it'll stay. That's got a cover price of $4.99, and I'm just getting the cover A. Next up from Marvel Comics is Moon Knight #2. Now, Moon Knight #1 doesn't feel like it came out a month ago. I feel like I bought it like 2 weeks ago. If a book has been out for a month and I just never read it, that's probably not a good sign, but I've heard such good things about Moon Knight, and I'm curious about this jumping on point for the character. So I'll buy the first 2 issues. If by issue 3 it's not working for me, well, it'll start coming up on Marvel Unlimited, so I'll drop it then. But Moon Knight number 2's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting the cover A. Next up, from Nick Spencer, is Sinister War number 3. Now, Sinister War, honestly, like, I've actually been reading it, and I'm kind of frustrated because I was like, oh, I'll do this 4-issue event because Nick Spencer's run is ending soon. And somehow he's managed to do this event and 4 more issues of Spider-Man. It just feels like it is going on forever. But I read the free comic book day issue. Peter Parker. That's the one. Peter Parker is no longer Spider-Man as of this free comic book day book. And that's obviously a preview of things to come, starting with issue 75. We got to get through this Sinister War event to figure out what happens to Peter Parker. And I just got to do it. I got to figure it out. So that's got a cover price of $4.99. $4.99. I'm just getting the cover A. Next up from Marvel Comics is Way of X number 5. I honestly thought about dropping this book, but it's the final issue of a miniseries. And honestly, I loved the start of this series. I just need to catch up. But Way of X, all about or focused on Nightcrawler, among other things, trying to figure out, how does life work on Krakoa? How do you build a society where when death is not really a threat? How do you build a religion if the afterlife is no longer a concern? How do you build these things? So it's asking questions that I wanted to have asked and answered a long time ago. But again, stay tuned for my thoughts on the X-Men and all the X-Men titles. That's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm just getting cover A. And lastly, on my Marvel pull list is X-Corp number 4. Now, X-Corp is a book that I pulled just because I was trying to figure out what was going on with the X-Men. I wanted all corners of the X-Men universe, and with the Reign of X, there were a bunch of new titles. Way of X was one, X-Corp was another, and so I was all right, well, I want to read these new books to figure out where we're going. Where are we going on Krakoa? And somewhere between Ten of Swords and Hellfire Gala, I just got lost. So anyway, X-Corp. I literally just read issue 1 earlier today, or yesterday by the time you're watching this. And though I enjoyed it, I'm kind of tired of how broad the X line is. It's like, I feel like I have to read 30 books to really understand what all is going on. Sometimes they connect, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they connect way too late. It's an interesting series. I just don't know if I care about it that much. So X-Corp number 4's got a cover price of $3.99, and as you can see, it's on the chopping block. But I would just get the cover A if I bought it. Next, or that's it. That's it for my Marvel Comics pull list. So if I buy every book on the Marvel pull list, then I'm spending a total of $31 on Marvel books. We'll see how that goes. Next up, let's talk about the DC comics. There's a few of them. A lighter week for DC. There's not a million Batman books, therefore there's not a million DC books. What do you know? But first on the list, of course, is a Batman book. Batman Catwoman number 6, written by Tom King, artwork by Clay Mann. This is Clay Mann's last issue for a little while. Issues 7, 8, and 9 we just found out are going to be done by Liam Sharp, which is confusing because we were told that this series was delayed by a full year so that Clay Mann could finish the series. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I was mostly pulling the series because of Clay Mann's art. Liam Sharp is a great artist in his own right, though, so we'll see how things go. I'm not going to just drop the series halfway through, although all conventional wisdom is telling me I probably should. It's got a cover price of $4.99. I'm just getting the cover A. Next up from DC Comics is The Flash, issue 773. This is a book that I'm actually really excited about. I didn't know anything about Wally West prior to this dude's run. Dang, I didn't write down his name. Is it like Josh Anderson? Josh Andrews? Something Andrews? Anyway, I didn't know anything about Wally West prior to this run. I loved his redemption from the whole Heroes in Crisis thing, and I love where this book has been going so far. I like Wally West, and this is a character that I think I could commit to. So I like the Flash. I like this run so far. It's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting the cover A. Although Brett Booth doing cover Bs for Flash, they've been really, really good, so I might get the cover B as well. Or instead, can't be buying 2 copies of one book. Anyway, next up is Legends of the Dark Knight number 4, and I've been really excited about Legends of the Dark Knight, not for anything that's actually going on in the book, but because I know that Brandon Thomas has a story coming up. The collector in me just can't see a gap in a run. Now, as soon as Brandon Thomas is done with this book, I'm going to be done with it too. For now, we got to read this story by Stephanie Phillips. She's got a one-shot issue coming out tomorrow, so I'm going to read that, and then with issue 5, Brandon Thomas's 3 or 4-part story starts, and I'm just curious to see Brandon Thomas on Batman. That's really what it is. But that's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting cover A. Next up is, and last on my DC Comics pull list, is Nightwing, issue 83. Nightwing is basically my favorite book on shelves from the big 2. Between X-Men, Spiderman, Batman, all of them, I love Nightwing the most. Tom Taylor is one of my favorite writers, if not my favorite writer. I love Deceased. It's what got me into collected editions. And basically everything Tom Taylor writes, I try to pick up. And this book is no exception. This book has not been a disappointment in any way. I love Dick Grayson, and Tom Taylor seems to know everything that I love about Dick Grayson and be putting it all in the book, all at one time. This is definitely like the most exciting big 2 book on shelves. You should be picking it up. But anyway, Nightwing 83 has got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting the cover A. So if I just stick to the list, if I only buy the books that are on my DC Comics pull list, I'm looking at spending $17. Not bad for DC Comics, because they managed to squeeze like $30, $40, $50 out of me way more often than I care to admit. But you're here every week, so you see it. Let's talk about the indie, the creator-owned, the smaller publishers. There's a few of those coming out this week as well. So first up is Home, number 5, Home by Julio Anta. This is the final issue of the miniseries following this kid that finds out he's got powers after he's separated from his mom at the border. Very political, but also very cool book. I've been enjoying it. I'm behind. I'm just going to binge read it when it comes out tomorrow. But it's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting the cover A. Next up is Nocterra, issue number 6. I was going to drop this book. I'll be very clear with you. I was going to drop this book written by Scott Snyder, art by Tony Daniel, because I'd never got around to reading it. Not a single issue. So I wanted to drop the book, but then it turns out it looks like this is the last issue of the series. So rather than drop it and then buy the trade later, I figure I might as well just keep it and not buy the trade. Save myself some money since I already spent so much. Nocterra number 6 has got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting the cover A. Next up on the Indie Comics pull list, I believe this is an Image series. This is Radiant Black, number 7, written by Kyle Higgins. I've honestly really enjoyed Radiant Black. Issue 6 was kind of like a one-shot, one-and-done story that kind of didn't have anything to do with the previous stories. This one, issue 7, kind of picks up as a new starting point from where issue 5 left off. So if you've been interested in this series and you haven't gotten into it, issue 7 starts a brand new story arc, and I'm excited about it. You should be too. It's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting the cover A. And lastly, on the indie pull list from Image Comics and Skybound comes The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue 21. Look, you already know I collect this series because of the David Finch cardstock covers. That's why I buy this book. It's The Walking Dead. It's in color. It's my first time reading the series at all. I never watched the TV show. And it's Robert Kirkman, who I've come to realize I really enjoy his writing. So I'm going to be picking it up as long as it's coming out. That's how I feel about that book. All 144 issues, if they plan to actually publish them all. Who knows if that's the case. But anyway, that's got a cover price of $3.99, and I'm just getting cover A. So for the indie and smaller publishers, the creator-owned section, if you will, if I just stick to the list, then those are just going to cost me $16. not bad. Not a bad week for those publishers. That brings my grand total to a staggering, I'm just joking, Mad Dog, but it brings my total to $64 for the week, which honestly is not bad. It's not terribly over budget, but it is over budget. So let's make some cuts, right? Got to make some cuts. We can't be in the red. We got to be in the black. So the 3 books that I think can go, that I can leave on the shelves at the store, are going to be the Miles Morales Annual. Definitely not essential to the storyline. Not essential to my collection. Legends of the Dark Knight #4. I don't need it, but I know that gap between issue 3 and issue 5 is going to bother me. But I mean, who knows? It'll probably end up in a dollar bin or on sale at Midtown Comics later on or something. I could probably find it cheaper later. But if I really need the $4 in my budget, I can let it go. So Legends of the Dark Knight #4, that's on the chopping block as well. And the last one is X-Corp #4. X-Corp is just, again, I've got my thoughts on the X-Men. I'm going to put those out later. I'm kind of tired of Krakoa. It feels like they're asking way more questions than they answer. I'm getting way more politics than action. Even in books that have action in them, it's like, I feel like I'm getting too many mutants. There's a lot. So anyway, X-Corp #4, that's also on the chopping block. So all in all, that saves me $12 off cover price after my discount for having a subscription box. That puts me back under budget. So I'll probably have to make those cuts unless somebody buys something random from me tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? Look at me trying to justify spending money that I don't need to spend. Anyway, what's on your pull list this week? What books are you cutting to make sure you stay under budget? Is it as difficult for you to cut titles as it is for me? I feel like I'm like selling my children when I cut a title from my pull list. And I shouldn't feel that way because they're not my children. Anyway, what's on your pull list? What are you like just not wanting to give up? I need to know in the comments below. Are you excited about our 3,000 subscriber giveaway? Make sure you're subscribed and hit thumbs up on this video just to make sure that you got a chance to win something. And you should definitely check out our channel sponsors. As of this recording, Organic Price Books just released a bunch of new pre-orders for the month of August. So you definitely want to make sure that you get your orders in before final order cutoff. And if you use my code, just say my name at checkout. Coupon code is BJKicks. You'll get $2 off every order every time. So shout out to JP and the folks that are getting Price Books. But yeah, so that's going to do it for today's video. Shout out to you for watching. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. I hope you get all the books that you want. And I'll see you in another video very soon. Until then, hope you saw something you liked in this video. And if not, that's cool, because you can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others, as kindness makes the world go round. Peace.